I just can't believe it. I mean, what kind of a rotten, low-down skunk was that Judas Iscariot anyway? What a rat! Oh, what's all the commotion up here? Just me. I can't seem to get over what Judas Iscariot did to Jesus. How awful to betray our Lord for money. Well, that was awful bad, all right, but, well, I mean, he brought a huge crowd of people with clubs and swords to arrest Jesus, and he even identified Jesus with a kiss. Yes, and Peter tried to defend Jesus. He drew his sword and he cut off the ear of the servant of the high priest. But then Jesus stopped the fight and even healed the man's ear. I mean, this was all the fault of that horrible Judas. How could he have done such a thing after being with Jesus for 3 years, learning from him and seeing all the love he had for everyone? And well, Jesus said, "Put your sword back in its place, for all who draw the sword will die by the sword." Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will not at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way? You see, God was still in control of everything that happened that night, and there were other betrayals of Jesus as well. Well, I still think... wait, did you say there were other betrayals? Yes. After Jesus was arrested and he said what he did, what did his disciples do? Well, they scattered, leaving Jesus alone in the hands of that awful mob. And isn't abandonment another kind of betrayal? Well, maybe, but it wasn't as bad as what Judas did. Jesus was taken to the home of Annas, who was the former high priest before the Romans appointed Caiaphas. Witnesses were questioned, and then Jesus was taken to Caiaphas' house, where there were more questions. They were trying to find something that could be used to condemn Jesus to death, but there was no evidence. So Caiaphas finally just asked Jesus, "I charge you, under oath, by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." And Jesus answered that he was. And he said, "But I say to all of you, in the future you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One, and coming on the clouds of heaven." The high priest said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses?" They all condemned him to death, without even considering that he might actually have been the Messiah. Also, trials were not supposed to be held in the middle of the night at anyone's house. So they all had betrayed their positions in Israel and God's laws and his Son. Betrayal number 3. Wow. So they took Jesus to Pilate, the Roman governor, and he knew right away that Jesus was innocent. But the people who'd been paid by the Jewish leaders demanded that Jesus be crucified. Pilate tried to talk them out of it. He even sent him to Herod, the Roman appointed king, who sent him right back. Pilate was afraid he'd be in trouble with Rome if the people rioted. So he commanded Jesus' death to save his own skin, and he turned him over to the soldiers to carry it out. That's number 4. Yeah, and then there was Peter. He and John had followed after Jesus was arrested, and John was known by the servants in the high priest's house, so he got them in to the courtyard. Peter was warming himself by the fire with some of the other servants and soldiers when people began to accuse him of being with Jesus. He denied very strongly, even with oaths, 3 times that he didn't even know Jesus. Ooh. And when the rooster crowed, Peter remembered that Jesus had predicted just exactly this. And Peter had sworn that he would never deny the Lord. He went out and wept. So, betrayal number 5. Are there more? Well, There would be us, puppets and humans today. Us? Well, I'd never betray Jesus. Really? Well, tell me, girl puppet, have you ever, disobeyed one of Jesus' teachings or told a little white lie? Have you ever been mean to your brother for the fun of it or misled your parents? Well, who hasn't done those things? Well, because all of us, except Jesus, of course, have sinned. Does that make it okay? Well, no. Does it make it any less of a betrayal? No, you're right, Gramps. We've all betrayed Jesus. And praise his name, we can all be forgiven if we come to him and ask. But Judas didn't ask, did he? No. He went to the high priest and he returned the money they'd paid him and confessed that he had sinned, that he had betrayed innocent blood. But the priest answered, what's that to us? That's your responsibility. They didn't help him? No, they didn't, and Judas killed himself. How sad! All the other disciples came back together, having finally understood Jesus' true mission on earth. They served our Lord Jesus for the rest of their lives, and not even one of them ever recanted his faith. This is one of the best proofs that Jesus was exactly who he said he was. Those who knew him best believed completely. Most of them even gave their lives for their faith. We must all do everything we can to draw closer to Jesus every day, so we will not betray him again. You're right, Gramps. When we walk with the Lord in the light of his grace, what a glory he sheds on our way. While we do his good will, he abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey.